Hi, I'm Ellen Daley, Vice President at Forrester Research. I run a team of analysts that look at a set of emerging technologies across green IT, unified communications, video, enterprise mobility, and Web 2.0 technologies. And what we're looking at is how all those technologies interplay to really have bigger impact on how business gets done in a more efficient and powerful way. There's a lot of dynamic change going on in the enterprise mobility market today. Whereas 5 years ago, we saw firms and enterprises really looking at enterprise mobility as separate bits of technology, wireless LAN, devices, software, or even management software. Things have really changed where those silos of technology that firms have looked at mobility are coming together and they're colliding. And why? For a lot of different reasons. There are more mobile employees today. Every day, employees are becoming more and more mobile, whether they're traveling for work or whether they're just away from their desk getting their job done. Secondly, we know that all the mobility that we use in our consumer lives is really infiltrating the expectation that we have in our work lives. And so what's happening is that there's a groundswell of demand that is really pushing IT to manage mobility in a more systematic way. So from a customer demand side, the landscape of mobility has really changed. What firms are looking for are more mobility support for their employees. In fact, 65% of firms we just interviewed said that it's one of their critical or top priorities across all telecom or IT initiatives to support employees with more mobility. And what this really means is bringing together wireless LAN, mobile applications, whether that's wireless email or calendar or line of business applications like Salesforce, field service, or even inventory management, as well as secure and very risk-averse type solutions that are going to allow that IT manager and also the business to, one, realize the opportunity of mobility in terms of top line and bottom line gains, but also make sure that it's really managed in a true IT reliable way that we're used to with all our other IT systems and endpoints like laptops. So as firms get more savvy about mobility and are thinking about managing mobility and controlling and providing access to their employees and partners and customers, new business models are emerging. What do I mean by that? Well, if you know what mobility can do for you as to help your employees be more productive and even help your customers with top-line customer satisfaction, and you think about the wireless networks that you're being familiar with on your campus, like wireless LAN or even cellular networks as you move out, one can also start imagining that if wireless and mobile access is everywhere, as it is actually in parts of Europe right now, that suddenly you have the ability to connect not just people but also things to the, if you will, extended internet. And what this allows are these things like new business models. For example, Norwich Union is trialing with pay-as-you-go insurance, which says that sensors in the car will indicate back to a control center over a wireless network where the car is, what speed you're going, such that you can have really on-demand insurance rate adjustments. Drive into a bad neighborhood, your insurance rate goes out. Drive into the suburbs, your insurance rates go down for that hour. So very good example of just brand new business models that mobility is enabling and opening up to very, very staid industries like something like insurance. Furthermore, what mobility is, there's such a high demand for mobility today. Think about what's happening in the world. We have much broader, far-flung supply chains. Not anymore is a company that does business in just one country. Instead, we're dealing with partners that are in every geographic region of the world. And it's not just multinational corporations. Domestic U.S. corporations or domestic European or domestic Indian corporations are looking to expand beyond their local geographic boundaries into other geographies. And this demands more insight and, if you will, eyes on the street through technology about what's happening with the assets in those countries, what's happening with the people in those countries. Those far-flung supply chains is really giving opportunity for mobile technologies and applications to really provide insight into the supply chain, for example, with asset tracking, using RFID technologies along that entire supply chain, and also giving insight and help to mobile employees in those areas that may not have the infrastructure that exists in some countries to use fixed line access. So globalization is a phenomena that's happening where mobility really fits in really well as controls of more people and abundant things are having to take place. One of the areas we talk a lot about with mobility is we always spend a lot of time thinking about networks, or we spend a lot of time thinking about the technology of it, devices, and we also think about software. But we also forget that really the ultimate goal of mobility is the ability for us to act natural or collaborate no matter where we are, right? And there's such a big emphasis right now in many firms' spending plans to focus on unified communications and collaboration. And a lot of that talk has been around integrating pieces of technology that are able to provide kind of a one-stop shopping for video, for presence, and for voice over IP. But if you think about really where collaboration will have its biggest impact, it's with that increasingly dispersed global workforce that needs to be in contact with each other to make faster and speedier decisions. That's why we really believe mobile unified comm, really communication-enabled collaboration, no matter where you are on mobile devices, is one of the next big waves of where the collaboration and mobility markets will collide with the really, push, the impetus around because of globalization. So we've talked a lot about mobility, and we've talked about globalization and even new business models as a stem out from mobility. But there's another big phenomena happening right now. And this is really the role of the corporation to play a more active element really in sustainability. Whether that's sustainability from a green perspective, making sure that they're adhering to green practices internally, but also making sure that they're developing products, right, that are green friendly, if you will. And then also just sustainability, like contribution to charities, making sure that they're making a better world. Corporate sustainability, but in particular green, is such a big emphasis today for corporations. They're putting green criteria on procurement documents. RFPs now demand that the company providing the services or product need to be green themselves or need to prove green elements. But we're also seeing green have another impact more internally to corporations. And it's really green is really giving a boost of what we call to technologies that might have been around for a while, but not really been pushed. Things like thin client that operate on lower power and computation need. Really a focus on virtualization in the data center, making sure that a power and cooling is optimized so that the data center is run with the minimal carbon footprint, if you will. And then finally, of course, what better way to be green than not to get on a plane and waste all that jet fuel or get on a train? And that's where we see video really stepping up in the enterprise. And boy, video's been around for a long time, not ever really been done and embraced well. It always takes 10 minutes to set up the system. New types of systems like room-based video conferencing, as well as more desktop video conferencing, is really getting an extra bit of vigor because of the focus on minimizing carbon footprints by actually not getting on a plane. And it's working.